What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and today is the first day of the Elite Eight. So, we're going to be doing our rankings of the remaining 8 teams. And yes, we have the St. Peter's Peacocks, America's favorite team, ranked. The ranking could surprise you a little bit, but we are going to get into the video here. And Ty, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, we're putting Miami here at number 8. We're done putting St. Peter's at the bottom of the rankings. I think they've earned their way up there. Miami's played really well, but beating Iowa State, that's an 11 seed. So now they get into a matchup with Kansas. I don't know if that's a great matchup for them. Kansas has great guards to match up with them, but first Elite Eight ever for Miami. So either way, they have a lot to be proud of. But they got their hands full.
And at 7, we do have the St. Peter's Peacocks. And, they just keep proving everybody wrong. The spreads, they're, not just winning and obviously covering, they're winning the games as well. And now they're ranked here 7th, so they aren't the last team in our rankings. And I think you got to thank pretty much America for willing them to a win yesterday. The whole stadium was with St. Peter's. Nobody wanted Purdue to win besides their own fans. And all the neutral fans and UCLA, UNC fans, they were all cheering for St. Peter's. And, it's just a storybook season, storybook run. They're the first 15 seed ever to make the Elite Eight. Obviously, they're first as a school as well. And let's see how they can do against UNC. It's an interesting matchup there. You got the two hottest teams probably in college basketball right now facing off for a spot in the Final Four. And I can almost guarantee you that no one had this as the potential Final Four team going. And, the Elite Eight game, it's going to be a great game, probably the most watched Elite Eight game in a long time, I would say, just because, everyone's rallying for St. Peter's. And obviously UNC has a great fan base as well. But you got to give credit where credit's due. The St. Peter's coach, he probably won't be here next year just because of the magical run he's on. You never know. He could come back and try to run it back. But as things are going right now, I don't expect him to be back.
All right, North Carolina up to number 6 now. Looked dead in the water multiple times against UCLA and just kept hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. And they came away with that huge win, pulling away. The score was a lot closer than 7 points. But they proved that they are much better than an 8 seed, one of the hottest teams in the country right now. And now you get to play another one of the hottest teams in St. Peter's. So that's an Elite Eight matchup that no one would have expected. But North Carolina is a team that can not only obviously get by St. Peter's, but they're a team that could win the whole thing, in my opinion. I'm not saying they will, but they definitely have that as their ceiling now after beating a 1 seed and a 4 seed. If they can continue to get that performance from Caleb Love or Brady Manick, there's always somebody that steps up for this team. So they're going to be really dangerous.
At 5, we get the Arkansas Razorbacks. Took down the 1 seed in Gonzaga, the overall 1 seed as well. And the must bus just keeps on rolling. The announcers were talking about he's going to take off his shirt because, he gets super hyped when they pull off these big wins. He didn't, just got drenched. But I think JD Note and Paolo Banchero is going to be the big factor in this game. Who's going to win that battle? And I think whoever wins that battle is going to win this game just because, those are the two best players or the best player on each team. But this Arkansas team, they show no quit. And you can see there, all of those wins have been, 6 or less points. So they're really good at closing out games. And against the Duke team, where we saw them, come back essentially and close out a game, it's going to go right down to the wire. I think this will be the closest matchup in the Elite Eight. And we're going to see if the must bust is going to end Duke's career or not.
All right, Villanova here at number 4. They were number 1 last week and they dropped. Not a great game against Michigan. Villanova played definitely poorly by their standards, but luckily Michigan played worse. So they move on and they get the win. But that's what it takes in March. If you can play, not your best game, you can still move on against a solid team like Michigan. That's a good sign moving forward. But now you face a team in Houston that plays really physical. They're going to be all over Villanova. It's not a great matchup for Villanova. They're going to have to hit a lot of threes, but that's tough to do against Houston. So that's why the ranking drops from 1 to 4. They showed some weaknesses against Michigan that they have to clean up, or Houston is going to beat them.
At 3, we got the Duke Blue Devils pulling off. We come behind victory against Texas Tech. I didn't think they were going to do it with 5 minutes to go, but just they held Texas Tech to, I think it was 3 or 4 points in the last 5 minutes. And Duke just kept making their free throws, which really sealed the game for him. And the big question, obviously, is Coach K, in his retirement this year, is he going to go out a champion? Because we thought they were dead in the water last game, Michigan State game. They kind of squeaked that one out as well. And are they going to be able to continue squeaking out these games, or are they going to have a dominant win, or are they finally going to collapse under pressure? Those three things are, what Duke has really been rallied around this tournament run. But you got to thank Paolo Banchero, because he's been the one that, they can trust day in and day out. And he's the reason why they are here in the Elite Eight.
All right, we got Kansas at number 2. Not a great performance against Providence in the second half, but they did enough in the first half on defense to come away with that win. And they're not number 1 because they've kind of struggled through their last 2 games against teams that, I'm not going to say they aren't good, but they're teams that Kansas should be winning by double digits if they're going to win a national championship, especially an injured Creighton team. But they continue to move on, and they continue to kind of fly below the radar, I guess, even as the last number 1 seed. I feel like no one's really talking about them. They're just kind of taking care of business. But they're just so deep with talent that there's always going to be 2 or 3 guys that step up for them and play a good game. And I think they should get by Miami. And after that, they're definitely the championship favorite, I think. But there's a lot of teams that could trip them up. So it should be interesting.
And at 1, we got the Houston Cougars coming out of the American Conference. And after the first round game, a potential upset that a lot of people could have saw, this team has just been on an absolute tear. Destroying Illinois by 15, beating Arizona pretty good by 12. And it wasn't really even a close game with 10 or 15 minutes left to go in the second half. They're the best team that's left at closing out a game if it's a close game at the end of the game. We've seen, obviously, those big wins aren't just a result of the other team not playing well. It's just been Houston is just that good at scoring and limiting teams. And it's another surprise run because they are a 5 seed and in the American and without Sasser, their best player. People wrote this team off pretty early, and here they are in the Elite Eight with another chance to get to a Final Four. That's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. But until the next time, the Bunch Buddies are out.
She never called back.